Welcome back to Zing Customs. This week I'm going to be working on the Minecraft Hoglin. So here we are in Forger, and for those of you who don't know this already, it's a sculpting app for the iPad, and this is usually how I start off most of my sculpts, just because I can take my iPad anywhere I go. I can sit on the couch, watch TV, and just do a little quick sketch. So most of these sculpts you see are actually, the Forger aspect of it are actually weeks and weeks old, or some of them even months old, because a lot of times if I'm just sitting there watching TV, I'm either drawing or sculpting on my iPad, and I only take them so far. So for example, this one, I roughed out his head and his body, and then I moved on to a different sculpture just because I don't want to take it too far, because I know once I get it into ZBrush I'm just going to end up changing a lot of it, so there's no real point. So a lot of these sculpts that you see, the actual Forger aspect of them was done a long time ago, and I have tons of them, and I just are waiting for me to have time to finish them off in ZBrush. I also, as you can see on the right hand side there, I have my Photos app open with reference photos of pigs and warthogs, because obviously it's the Hoglin, it's clearly based on that, and I wanted it to kind of be a mix of the two, because looking at the actual Hoglin, its face is clearly inspired by a warthog, but its body was a lot thicker, and I don't know if that's just because it's Minecraft and it's blocks, so it kind of has to be, but I kind of wanted to take that and have a thicker body on mine, you know, so that's why you'll see later on when I start working on the body, I have a lot of other photos of like domesticated pigs that I use more as reference than just the warthog. One of my favorite things to do as far as sculpting is doing animals and creatures like this, and that's just because if I do a humanoid figure, I usually start with the human preset sculpt, which you could find in Forger or in ZBrush. Most programs have them, and it's not insanely detailed, but it just gets the basic anatomy there, so the proportions are right, and it's faster and easier and quicker for me. But doing something like this, there's no preset for a pig's body, so I have to start that from just a sphere. Same with the head, I just started from a sphere and turn it into what it is now, and although I would like to do that with most of my sculpts, I don't really have the time, because I try to get one video out per week, so I can't really do that, especially when I'm doing a human body, because it's a lot more complex, and it's just a lot quicker for me to do it the way I do it. But being able to start from just a sphere is fun, especially when I go back and I'm editing these videos and I get to watch the whole process in time lapse. It's really cool for me to see the sculpt starting from a sphere turning into what it is. And also you can see I do go back and forth a lot to the original Minecraft model, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. One thing I forgot about this sculpt for a long time was the fur, the hair, the spines, whatever is going across his back. Looking at an actual warthog, it looks more like just a mane, almost like a horse going down his back. But I like the idea of it being more like spines, just because that's the kind of the idea I got when I saw the Minecraft mob for the first time. So that's something I kind of wanted to bring over to the sculpt. And anyways, my point is it's nice to have a picture of the actual original Minecraft model, because there's oftentimes I'll forget about little details like that, even though it's super blocky, and even all the texture is just blocks. You can still get a good aspect of what they're going for. For example, here on the side of the Hoglin, it looks like he's got fat rolls going down the side, so I added those in, and things like that you wouldn't necessarily think you need to look at the model a lot for reference, but I like to go back to it, just because if I made his body just based off a pig, he wouldn't have all these things. It wouldn't have these spines going down his back and different aspects like that. One thing I wanted to mention, it's a little off topic here, but I wanted to mention it anyway, is I've noticed that probably the majority of my comments across all my videos are Minecraft related, whether asking me for to sculpt specific mobs and stuff like that. And I just wanted to let you guys know here that I will eventually be doing every single Minecraft mob. That's my plan. I want to get all of them, and I do a lot of drawing and a lot of sculpting, so I don't know exactly when I'll have all those done because I like to go back and forth between those two. And even just talking about sculpting, I do a lot of other types of things like superheroes or personal work. You know, I go back and forth a lot, but just did want to let you guys know that I definitely do want to do all the Minecraft mobs at some point. But having said that, I still super appreciate when I see that in my comments. If you want a specific mob and you want it done sooner rather than later, definitely comment it. I've had a lot of people ask for specific mobs, and I started working on them when originally I might have been, you know, holding off on it. I've put in I've done certain mobs before others just because people comment and ask for it. So definitely, if you want to see one done sooner rather than later, let me know. But I just want to let you guys know that I will eventually be doing all of them. But that's also true of, you know, literally any category of anything. You know, if you want me to sculpt anything at all, doesn't have to be Minecraft related, let me know. There is some stuff that I might not do, you know, anything that's, you know, not safe for work, anything inappropriate like that, I might not do it. But majority of things, especially if it's something that, you know, if you see my videos, you kind of know what style I go for. You want to see anything like that, let me know in the comments, I'll do it. I had a Wolverine video that I posted a couple weeks ago, and the only reason I ever did that was because I had someone in one of my comments ask for Wolverine, you know. So I do really super appreciate anybody that's willing to comment. And, you know, having said all this, I might not get to the sculpt immediately. Like I said, I've had a lot of people comment for certain Minecraft mobs, and I've started working on them. But I kind of have a pipeline of how I work on things, and a lot of these sculpts take time, obviously, and I can't necessarily bust them all out in 1 week, you know, especially if I already have one plan for the next week or whatever. So it might not be immediate, but like I said, if you want me to sculpt anything, let me know in the comments, and there's a pretty darn good chance that I'll end up doing it. Alright, now to jump back into the sculpt, you can see now we're here in ZBrush, and what I'm messing with here is a new brush that they added in the newest update of ZBrush, where you can basically turn an alpha into a curve, and alpha is basically a texture. So you can see here I'm using the Spider-Man logo and making a curve out of it. But mainly this was me just kind of messing around and learning how to use this, and I kept it in because it just goes to show I eventually used that to make the spines on his back, which is great because I didn't necessarily know how I was going to do it. I was probably going to extrude a cylinder and just try to taper off one end and then copy it over. But when I went ahead and updated ZBrush, I saw this new brush, started to mess with it, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I use this here for his spine bristle things going across the back of him, and then I use them later on for his tusks. So I mentioned earlier when talking about using Forger versus ZBrush that I usually start off a sculpt in Forger and eventually take it over to ZBrush, and I don't take it too far in Forger just because I know there's so much things that are going to change eventually. This was kind of one of the exceptions. I have multiple videos where I break this rule. It's not necessarily a rule, it's just something that I tend to do, but I will take a sculpt really far in Forger if it's a simple enough sculpt. For example, my Minecraft skeleton and the Minecraft spider, the Minecraft enderman, a lot of the Minecraft based sculpts, they're pretty basic. The newer mobs like the pillager that I did a couple weeks ago, he has a lot more going on because he's got a full military coat and buckles and a bow or a crossbow and all these other things that it makes it more difficult when you go to transfer the model over to ZBrush, because like here he has his body and then the Hoglin head, so that's just two things that I had to transfer over. The spine, the tusks, everything else I just added in ZBrush because they're simple models that I could recreate easily. But when you have something more complex, it's a lot more work to bring it over and takes a lot longer. And also if it's something like the Minecraft pillager again, for example, a lot of those things I would be doing would just be so much easier in ZBrush that I don't worry about it. This is one of the exceptions because it's a pretty simple shape. I mean, it started from just a sphere, and you can see there's not too much crazy going on as far as like accessories or anything like some of the humanoid characters might have. Basically, all I do from here is, once I get it from Forger, is flesh out any details, add any wrinkles that I didn't add before, repose them, and then the texturing phase. So really, and the coloring. But really, if you take this sculpt versus the Forger sculpt, there's not a ton different as far as the overall look of the sculpt, if that makes sense. Like, you get in here, there's a lot more fine details and smaller wrinkles and things like that, but like as far as the base of the sculpt goes, the Forger model was already like 90% there. You know, I just had to take it across the finish line with ZBrush. Anyways, I don't know if that's something that's interesting to you guys or if it's just interesting to me, but if you have any questions about that, the difference between Forger and ZBrush, and want me to go over that more in any future videos, let me know, and I definitely can do that. But getting back to the sculpt, one thing that zoomed by really quick, because obviously this is a time-lapse video, you might not have noticed, after I got the Hoglin posed and now I'm doing texturing now, I went in and made one of the nostrils bigger, and that is just because every time I sit down and do a Minecraft mob, I'll look up tons of reference photos, and I'll also go on to the Minecraft wikis and read any lore about them, like in-game lore or any interesting trivia about the development or anything like that, just to see if there's anything on that side of the character that can help me with the design. And one thing I saw in the trivia section, which you can clearly see once you know what you're looking for, is that one nostril is bigger than the other, and I believe it's his left nostril, so that's what I did in this sculpt. And I don't know why that is, if it was just like a fun thing that whoever designed the Hoglin did, but that's one thing I like to do when I'm working on these sculpts, is go in and see what the developers actually have to say about them, and like in-game lore, what that has to say. Like when I did the Minecraft creeper so long ago, I read that the green texture of a creeper was supposed to resemble leaves and be used for camouflage. So knowing that helped me a lot with designing the creeper, because I didn't know whether to make him reptilian, which I still kind of did. He had scales and stuff, but I made him, for certain parts of his body, tried to make him look like foliage and leaves and things like that. And it doesn't always help. For example, the Minecraft zombie, which I ended up really happy with the way that sculpt turned out, but going into it, I was like, there's nothing really special about this zombie. I mean, he's got jeans, a blue shirt, and green skin. That's like the only thing about him, you know? Whereas if you look at an Enderman, that's not something you see in regular life. This Hoglin, you know, it's got traces of a warthog and a pig, but you don't see that in real life. And you don't see a zombie in real life, but you've seen plenty of zombies in pop culture. So when I was sculpting it, I was really looking for other interesting aspects to make it look more distinct. And in the end, I didn't really find anything, and turns out just the blue jeans and the bright blue shirt was enough to make it distinct. But in a lot of cases, looking at the trivia and lore behind a mob can really help when going to the sculpting and designing process. But yeah, that's the finished sculpt right there, and I'll pop up a few photos at the end here so you can see the final renders. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way it turned out, especially the back spines. I really like how those ended up looking. And I also want to mention real quick, I have a Instagram account and a Etsy account. Those are both Zane Customs, and I'll have links down below. Anything you could see me sculpt on here, you can buy off my Etsy account. And also want to say, again, I super appreciate anybody willing to comment, let me know if there's anything they want to see me sculpt in the future, as well as like or subscribe. Super helpful to me, and I super appreciate anybody that's willing to do it. It helps me out a lot, and I super appreciate it. But above all, just want to say thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.